Back to the Dean Obeidallah show. It is the third hour on Friday, but it's a special third hour. It's the last third hour on Friday before Election Day for what just happened. We have three returning champions. I'm so honored to have all three on the show. Leighann Lord is back, stand-up comic, author, registered voter, online Kamala Harris impersonator, and she produces on Instagram and TikTok a show called Kamala Connects. Hello, Leighann. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Dean.
Are you going to do a Kamala impression at some point?
No.
Yes, please, please,
Do you
please.
do one? When I hear Kamala, I can hear Maya Rudolph in my head. It's kind of weird.
I've got the smile, I've got the wave, I've got the Chuck Taylors, and when we fight, we win.
All right, very nice. And all right, also back, Carmen Lynch. She's been on Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Her comedy special, Queef Week, is on YouTube. Just hit 1 million views.
No, 500,000. Sorry.
Don't just say a million. Let's be
Okay,
like
a
Trump.
million.
8 million. It's the most watched video.
Oh my God.
There's no fact checking. There's no fact checking.
Okay, 10
This is what just
million,
happened.
10 million.
And she has a new podcast, Thanks for Nothing, with Francisco Ramos, Carlos Santos, and Oscar Armando, which is available everywhere. Carmen, nice to see you. Thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me.
And also the legend himself, Jimmy Tingle, is back at NPR PBS 60 Minutes. His special on YouTube right now, which is really good. I was watching it right before we started taping. Jimmy Tingle, the radical middle. Why would a comedian run for office? Jimmy ran for lieutenant governor of Massachusetts. You were on the show as a serious candidate. I remember a few years ago, and this
Right.
special is all about that. So good to see you, Jimmy.
Good to see you too. And Carmen, I got to talk to you. How'd you get 5 million views? That's what I want to know.
5 million. Oh, I'm just so famous. That's what it is. It's just fame. It's so easy.
It keeps going. And you have a great lineup of Carmen. We'll start with you. I mean, it's an exciting time. I mean, most of your podcasts will be deported if Trump wins, right? Because
I know.
it doesn't matter if they're here legally or not. If you're brown, you'll be rounded up by his deportation force and have to show some proof of citizenship, or U.S. citizens have been deported before when they don't have proof of citizenship. But let's talk about open-ended thing. We'll start with you, Carmen. We're a few days to the election. There's a poll for everybody. Whatever you want. If you want a state to be for your candidate, you got a poll out there right now. Now, there are some good polls today, but early voting data looks pretty good, but we'll see how it goes. How you feel about the race? Do you even look at the polls?
I don't. I always feel like, when am I going to get asked to be in a poll? I don't believe polls. I feel like it's fake news. I don't trust. I was going in with such positivity the last time Trump, tried to run for president and then he won. So I'm a little discouraged, but I'm hoping that everyone's voting and Kamala, let's do this.
Let's do it. Leighann, what about you, my friend? How do you just overall feel about the state of the race and your career as Kamala Connects and doing your thing?
You know what? It all started as a goof. It was fun. I went to Dragon Con and I put on the blue suit and the pearls, and I was actually stunned by how many people were like, Kamala, Madam President, and that sense of hope and joy. Last night was Halloween, the Halloween Day parade. I went out. I went to have dinner with friends, and people were double taking like, Madam Vice President, and they would just talk to me. They're like, I voted for you. I hope you win. So no one's asked me, like Carmen, to do a poll, but like just walking around the streets, it's like, oh, there is some positivity. And I'm going to go with that, because when I watch TV, it's not good. It's neck and neck. And I'm like, I'm not sure about that, because everybody likes a cliffhanger. So how much of this are we being manipulated to continue watching?
Yes.
Especially given the poll failure of 2016. So,
Leighann, while you were at dinner, did you say, if you're really a big supporter, pick up the check? Like, did you ever say, like, why don't you pay for my dinner? I'm going to be president one day.
Well, that would be bribery. And we are running a different campaign here. So no, Kamala pays for her own meals.
Wow. Okay. Jimmy, you've seen a lot of campaigns. You've been a candidate yourself, ran for lieutenant governor of Massachusetts. How are you feeling about this race?
I'm feeling good about it. But Leighann, congratulations by being able to pull that off, being mistaken for Kamala. I'm often mistaken for Barney Rubble. So I really appreciate it.
You look like a Rubble-esque.
Dean, I'm feeling good about it. And to other people's points, that when have they ever been polled? I think the young people are going to come out, and I know the women are coming out. And the issues that are driving young people, choice, guns, Just like in 2022 in the midterms, the whole red wave was supposed to materialize and we were supposed to get crushed, and it didn't happen largely because of Gen Z coming out. And I think the young people are coming out. Environment, guns, choice, immigration reform, these issues are driving people. And of course, the women will be there. And I think it's going to be, and we got some Republicans on our side. High profile Republicans from his own cabinet. So I think there's a shift. It's not maybe materializing in the polls, but that's my optimistic take on it and hopeful.
That's a good take. Now, Carmen, if women win the day, what are you going to ask for? As women, you should have an ask. Like, okay, we saved democracy, but we want this, this, and that. Are there a few things? It could be personal stuff, like I want this, whatever. Or do you want something for all of women, or it could just be for Carmen Lynch?
Oh my God. Can I get more spots and a higher pay? Is that okay? I'm kidding. No, I mean, the whole thing with abortion and women's choice, and I can't believe we're still talking about this. It's 2024 and it just feels like it's something we should have dealt with years ago. But I just want the same pay for everyone and all that. Just that basic stuff that gets looked over and over again. And I just want I mean, this is a bigger picture, but it would just be nice for politics just to go back to what's important as a president. Like, what are you looking for in a president versus like shock value, bros, Mr. Cool, hate speech, like all of that. I just want that to go away. We need a boring president, like the old days, you know?
Biden was boring. It was just Trump was around that made it difficult for all of us. Leighann, Donald Trump ran this bro campaign. It was a bro vote, and he really leaned into that, going on the podcast for all these guys, some with really checkered past and issues with women. But then again, Donald Trump is an adjudicated rapist. So, I mean, it's beyond checkered. This is an awful guy. Do you think the bro vote strategy was a good idea? And I'll just say this at the outset, in 2020, young men versus young women came out 11% higher. That was before Roe was overturned. We already saw early voting data, like in Georgia. I just looked at it before we came on air. 14-point gap between women and men, with women voting in huge numbers. So I don't think the bro vote strategy was a winner. But then again, maybe that's all Trump had, because he was shedding women so much he couldn't get them back.
They were banking on a group of folks who I don't want to say may or may not be still in their mom's basement. Women do mature faster, so they say, and perhaps this is where that comes into play for us. I think women are better at organizing. Our whole childhoods are strategized around community, being in groups, so of course we are going to show out. I think the alpha male energy butts heads, and they're so busy seeing whose is bigger that they actually forget to do the work. Women are used to doing the labor. We're used to doing the work. Like, oh, shoot, they forgot to register. Oh, wow, was election day yesterday? Dude, I was so wasted.
Right.
And I'm going a little over the top here.
No, you're not.
But you've got to do more than just the talk. You've got to do more than just beat your chest on this.
And by the way, young men are the least reliable voting bloc of all the voting blocs based on data. And they're also the easiest distractible. I mean, Jimmy, if Vice President Harris just sent free weed and pizza to Joe Rogan listeners, no one's voting November 5th. They'll be like, was that, like Leighann said, was that the election? Can we vote tomorrow? Is it too late? So relying on young men, not the winning strategy. Got to be blunt.
I hear you. Yeah, I wish she went on that show, and I hope she does before the election. I don't know if she will, but
Joe Rogan? I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Well, we ceded the ground to Trump for 3 hours in front of 20 million people, and I just feel like, oh man, please, try to get on or get in front of that audience, because they're persuadable. They're persuadable around choice. Who do you think's with child support? Who do you think's going to, participate in raising children if there's an abortion ban? Things like that. I think she can talk common sense to people. And I just, that's my hope. Men are persuadable, but they have to be talked to and they have to be addressed. And I think we got to lean into that. Or you cede the ground to Trump. And that's not good.
Well, an argument can be made that I'm sorry, Carmen. The other day, didn't Michelle Obama directly speak to men and how abortion
Yes.
affects men. And we are long overdue making the connection that it does take two to make a baby. And what does that mean? You know, when
Yes.
you watch your beloved, your sweetheart, the girl you care about, bleeding down in a parking lot. Like, this has real repercussions for men's lives. How about men raising newborns without their mothers because the mothers died in childbirth?
Mhm.
You know,
You know,
like these
great
are
point.
real things that she brought up. It's
Yep.
not just a women's issue. This is
Mhm.
this is a family issue. This is a human issue, and there is a gender divide, and that's a way to cross it, Jimmy. So you're right. These gentlemen do have to be not spoken to, not lectured to, but
Right.
spoken with, because somewhere along the line we broke down
But I
our
think a lot of
communication.
these voters, sadly, I mean, Trump could do anything and they're still going to vote. They're still going to vote for him. There's nothing, they're voting for the wrong reasons. They're not voting for the reasons you want to vote for a president. They're voting because they think he's funny, or they don't believe that what he's really saying he's going to do, like all the bad things. Like, they're just, I feel like most people are voting because they just will not tolerate the opposite person. Like, they just don't want a woman, or they don't want a woman of color, or they're just voting for the wrong reasons. And I don't think there's anything that can change that. And I think a lot of the voters, even on Rogan, probably already want Trump. I don't know how much that would do for her.
Well, she
Yeah.
was almost on it, but she was going to go on for an hour, but he would have had to travel to an event she was at to do it behind. And now Joe Rogan's, no, you've got to come to Texas and you have to do 3 hours. So his male privilege was like, no, how dare you? Because she was going to sit with him. It came out, but only he even said it, that she said, offered to do a 1 hour interview. And he goes, I really like to get to know the person on a human level. You don't need 3 hours. You're just meandering. 3 hours is uncomfortable. It's like a
Yeah.
hostage thing. Like, you have to be fed in 3 hours. Are you kidding me? 1 hour, that's more than enough. This is 50 minutes. This is taxes my attention span to do this, recording this special with you guys, and you're all great. Imagine
Right.
like you're into like 3 hours, you're an hour in, like, this sucks. I have to do 2 more hours. Jimmy, have you ever done a 3 hour interview with anyone? Do you know Rogan, by the way?
I do know Rogan, but I have not done a 3 hour interview. But I think, let me just say what Leighann was speaking to. I watched Michelle Obama's speech on C-SPAN. Unbelievable speech. If Michelle Obama, that's the exact right tone.
Right.
It was the exact right tone. And if Michelle Obama was on Rogan, through the roof, you know, I
That was
just don't think we can cede ground
right.
automatically and dismiss people and not attempt. What's his name? The God. What's his name? The breakfast.
Charlemagne.
Charlemagne the
Charlemagne.
God.
When she went on Charlemagne, you know, she was great on that. And Charlemagne was saying, you got to go to every single opportunity. You can't just, you know, write people off. And anyway, not that she was writing Rogan off, but I think Rogan could have, you know, I just think it would have been a smart thing to do. And the same for Tim Walz, because what's his name? Vance went on Rogan too. And the same thing with those guys, you know, go on every single thing you can and get the word out there, because people are persuadable, but they need to be asked. They need to be
Interesting.
asked.
Vance has nothing to do. So 3 hours for him. Like no one
And he
wants to
get
talk
three
to
hours
Vance.
too.
He would do it for 6.
He's like, what do you mean it's
Sadly.
And
over?
still
Can we
say
stay?
nothing of substance.
Right.
Right. He said ridiculous things. Like, the one thing that came out, he's like, I wish I could hang out with Hunter Biden. I think it was horrible they prosecuted him. Like, whatever. I'm with Leighann Lord, Carmen Lynch, Jimmy Tingle. By the way, so Donald Trump has a huge gender problem with women. It's clear in all the polling. So this week, to reach women, he said at a rally that he kept saying this line that he wants to be the protector of women. And his staff said to him, he relayed this. My staff was saying it's inappropriate. Don't say I want to be a protector of women. Well, Trump says at his rally after all that, quote, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm like, there you go. There's a winning strategy. I'm going to appeal, whether you like it or not. I'm your protector. I'm your guy. The guy from the Access Hollywood tape. Don't even wait. I'm the guy. That's it. I'm not even going to wait. So, Leighann, I mean, by the way, Politico had an article 2 weeks ago where they talked to staffers in Trump world who honestly told them they've given up on attracting women that are not already on board. They literally began doing that 2 weeks ago. And this is just down with that. I think this is really for men. It's like, yeah, you see, we don't need women to say yes. I'm the guy. And whether you like it or not, I'm here for you. That's it, type of thing. But Leighann, what do you make of it? I mean, is there some woman out there who's like, oh, Trump would be my protector? That
Oh,
makes a little difference.
There's tons of women
Yes.
out there who are
Yeah.
saying this, at
Really?
least in my feed on Instagram and TikTok. And it's like, oh my God, sis, who raised you? Like, wait, I think we need some therapy here. There's some daddy issues. Because here's the thing, I had a father. I know what a real father looks like. Trump is not it. Okay, I'm not looking for a daddy fix it in my politics. And it's interesting to me what he's deciding to protect women from. What are we in danger from, sir? All the peril that you put us in with your judge choices? Like that's a very odd and uncomfortable statement coming
It
from
is.
him, of all
So,
people.
Carmen, I mean, when a guy who's an adjudicated rapist says, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not, isn't there a pause there? And he's trying to do that to get you on his side. And he literally is an adjudicated rapist. I'm like, yeah, I think that's what got you in problems in the first
Yeah,
place.
anything that has the line whether you want to or not is very rapey. I don't care if it's like
Yes.
grab me that chocolate bar, whether like it's just, and he's so out of touch. Like the fact that he doesn't understand what that sounds like. He's so out of touch of this race. Like he's just running up there like this entertainer, and people are falling for it. And it really makes me go, how much of it is his fault and how much of it are the voters who want him? Like you got to blame the people too. Like what is your problem? How blind can you be that you think this is okay?
Right. Jimmy, how is this election close in the bigger picture?
Well, to the point of whether you like it or not, okay? It's like, yes, I'm going to protect you whether you like it or not. Now get back in the kitchen. Now, here's the thing. What people, a lot of people, and I've been knocking on doors up in New Hampshire and other parts of, just down in Arizona doing a fundraiser the other night for Harris. A lot of people are voting for Trump, not because of they can't stand his personality, the economy. Yeah. And I was in New Hampshire and this woman came to the door, to your point, and she says, my husband and I, we're business people. We've been losing money, and they're going with Trump because of the economy, because of what they find themselves in their business. And they're wrongly blaming the Obama administration for inflation, which the president doesn't, control inflation or the economy. But it's that type of thing that's really that's in play, that whole thing, not just about his personality. But for
what
me,
kind of business do they have, though? I mean, don't you have to ask them, like, what's your business? Oh, like, oh, we rent VHS tapes. Like, yeah, maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's your business choice. Like, I'm not making light of it. I mean, like you should go, like, well, what's your business that it got bad over the last 4 years when unemployment's literally at 4.1%, wages are up. Yeah, groceries are up more expensive. I understand that, but what is their business like? And are you using Biden and Harris as an excuse for bad business decisions? And I'm not mocking them. I'm sincerely asking, do people use as an excuse?
It's an excuse, but it's also a motivating factor. But when I get to these doors and somebody says, look, my husband, we're registered, we're with Trump. She was so nice. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm not going to dissuade her from her vote. She's already made up her mind, may have already voted early voting. But I got to remember, when I'm in front of these people, I'm the face of the Democratic Party at that moment. So my goal is to bring people in. Maybe they won't vote, but maybe they'll have a more favorable impression of a Democrat coming to their door, knocking on doors in the future, because the demonization and the divide is so stark right now. I think my job when I'm in that position is to put on the best face of the Democratic Party, polite, respectful, God bless you, good luck, may the best team win, etc. when I'm talking to them one-on-one. That's how I feel about it. That's what I've been trying to do.
But I think you should close with, you're voting for Harris whether you like it or not. What? That's it. Like, I'm from Jersey. I'm half Sicilian. Like, okay, look, you vote Harris, nobody gets hurt. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to get any more detail than that.
It's for your own good.
Let's go now. Let's go vote. Let's go.
Get in the car. Get in the car. Get in the car. Stop crying.
In the car. Let's go. That's right. Don't cry. Just go and vote. Everything's fine. Don't cry. Just vote. That kind of thing. I'm chatting with Leighann Lord, Carmen Lynch, Jimmy Tingle. So, Carmen, I want to get your reaction, obviously, first, because your Spanish heritage here, that at the massacre, and it was also a comedian, so I want to have everyone chime in, of course, ultimately, but a comedian did a joke that's actually had an impact politically, and it's rare that happens, to be honest. And Tony Hinchcliffe, who I don't know, but he's known as Killer Tony, and he's got a very popular podcast, said a bunch of garbage stuff. But he said, one is, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. I think it's called Puerto Rico. but a little of the crowd laughed. And other jokes he had about black people carving watermelons, I got pretty good laughs. I mean, that's like, oh, they're like, yeah, give us more black people stereotypes. But this with Puerto Rico, we're not sure. And Carmen, is continuing as a story. Jennifer Lopez last night at the Vice President Harris rally brought it up and said this is offensive not just to Puerto Ricans, but to everyone who's Latino. The way it says about us that, and obviously the joke was in the teleprompter. They knew what he was going to say, and they were fine with it in advance, but afterwards they didn't like it. So Carmen, what was your reaction when you heard that? And it is a comedian, so I don't know if you take it differently.
I take it differently because I feel like we've heard everything. I do think it's a dumb joke. It's cheap and it's easy. I also blame the Trump campaign for like, who did you pick the #1 roaster in comedy and you're concerned and worried and sensitive that he roast like it was all just everyone was to blame. And I mean, Tony did the right thing to get like his name is everywhere now. Good for him, you know? Right. He's only doing what he does every day, but the joke was dumb. And I know a lot of Puerto Ricans who are like, I don't care about the joke. It's stupid. I still want to vote for Trump. And then there's other people who are offended. And I'm like, I'm just numb because I've heard the dumbest jokes forever. And I'm like, whatever. But the fact that Trump is like, I don't know who that comic was on my thing. Like, and they read the script and now everyone's like, who's this guy? I'm like, shut up. I feel like everyone is to blame.
It's kind of interesting too that Trump's response, the right response would have been, look, he's a comedian. I don't agree with it. It was a bad or something like that. He didn't denounce it at all. He simply said the idea of like, I don't know the guy. And he literally said, I don't think it's a big deal. He said that. So Leighann, I mean, for a I don't know Tony. I don't know any of you guys know Tony. I guess apparently works in the city clubs here. I just don't know him. Different generation of comic. But Leighann, I mean, is it unfair to hold a comedian responsible for a joke and a campaign? Is it more about that Trump did not denounce the guy? Could have easily said, this guy's garbage. I have nothing to do with him. And that's the end of the story. Instead, he refuses to denounce anyone because that puts off the young guys that he's cultivating where it's like, you could say whatever you want about anyone. It's fine.
I am secretly and not so secretly hoping that they've both each destroyed each other's careers. That this is really what swings the election, that the Los Puertorriqueños come out and go, oh, that's what you think? Okay, son, I got you. Because understand this isn't new. There's actually a book, and I posted about it today. It's called The Souls of White Jokes. Oh. And the whole title is The Souls of White Jokes, How Racist Humor Fuels White Supremacy. And so they hide behind, oh, I'm just joking. You can't take a joke. Okay, that wasn't a joke, sir. That's how you really feel. They got up there and said how they really feel. Like the New York Times, this carnival of complaints. And it's like, I feel like I get to sit back and just, okay, we've been telling y'all this. This is not new. And so when, Jimmy, you're knocking on doors and people are saying it's the economy, I do not believe them. Because of those people who show up to his rallies, because of the people who laugh at those jokes that are not jokes. You're playing, I don't want to be disrespectful. It's respectability politics. And a whole generation of Black people have played that game and lost. Martin Luther King got shot in a suit. Okay. He was trying to be respectable and give people the benefit of the doubt. I am tired of giving people the benefit of the doubt. They have not earned it and they will not receive it from me.
Fair enough. So, Jimmy, we'll make this like Piers Morgan. What do you think of that, Jimmy? No, I'm kidding. No. So, Jimmy, I mean, you're talking to people. That's one thing. But let's talk about the comedian here because we're all comedians. And the idea, look, the comedian he's getting a backlash in a way. But to Carmen's point, he is more famous now. I guess apparently was on the Tom Brady roast. Like he's already known. This is going to make him really big on the right. So it helps his career. It doesn't hurt him. But it is unfair. Is it unfair to hold a campaign responsible for jokes at their rally?
It's their fault for not vetting the jokes. I mean, you've done things I've done things at Democratic events and they vet the person, they go into their history, and they look at the script of what you're going to say, so it's their fault for not doing that, but that's also their game. They play loose and, with the facts, with everything. And that's part of the whole thing. When Vance said, we say outrageous, we make things up during in interviews, right? Because that's what the media pays attention to, there's a
Mhm.
certain amount of truth to that. This is the biggest takeaway from that rally. This is the biggest takeaway, what he said, right?
Yeah.
The biggest takeaway from the Harris-Trump debate, one of the biggest, other than she won, was that they're eating cats and dogs, right?
Mhm.
So the crazy things that come across are what gets the clicks, what gets the topic of conversation going. So
Yeah.
that's how they play it, and a lot of it is deliberate. Maybe they knew what he was going to say, and they want that controversy to draw attention to the rally, and to go to that underbelly of racism that is in the country. That could very well be part of it as well. But as far as talking to people and being respectful, when I go to somebody's house and I'm in front of them on their
Mhm.
property and I'm knocking on the door,
And just stand your
I'm on
ground
their
state.
property.
Right.
And they have a right to vote wherever they want to vote. And I can't read their mind. I can't be so superior that I know that every single person who votes for Donald Trump, what their true motives are. Maybe some of them, I'm sure many of them do have horrible
Mhm.
motives, but a lot of them don't. A lot of them hold their nose, and they vote for corporation lower taxes. They vote for, taking money out of Ukraine. They vote for a lot of issues. Not all of them, but a lot of them do.
Mhm.
But Trump has tapped into a vein of xenophobia, racism, sexism,
Yeah.
homophobia, the woke world that a lot of people were not ready for. And that's what he's done. And this is why we have to beat him. And the way I'll do my best doing it, through comedy and through activism.
Yeah.
So
Sure. The interesting thing is I've talked to some white Trump supporters. They're comedians, by the way. I won't say their names. Who want to make it clear they're not racist.
Shocking.
They're not racist just because they're supporting Trump, and they get so defensive. And I go, "But I didn't call you a racist. I was just talking about the racism that Trump peddles."
How about
And they're
that?
like, "I just want you to know I'm not racist." I'm like, "Yeah, well, that's like Donald Trump's closing message this week, which is, quote, I'm not a Nazi. I'm the opposite of a Nazi." Jimmy, you've watched a lot of campaigns. That's kind of a unique closing message for a candidate. He literally said at two rallies, they call me a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi. I'm the opposite of a Nazi. I'm like, I think you're losing when that's your closing argument. I'm not.
that's right. When I was running for office, I wasn't walking around. The first thing out of my mouth, listen, I am not Charles Manson. I am really not. And the other thing is the he said he should have said, I'm not a Nazi. Mark Robinson is a Nazi, but I am not a Nazi. He's running for governor of North Carolina. I am not the Nazi here. He is the Nazi, and I
And
am
I endorsed
supporting
him.
him.
Right.
There's a difference.
There's a difference between the two. All right, let's take a break and come back. There's a lot more. There's so much anti-women hate and misogyny in this campaign. It is off the charts. To me,
Crazy.
that is the defining thing now, more than the racism has been there, the sexism. So we'll come back and talk about Elon Musk's ad where he calls Vice President Harris the C word. I'm not kidding. And Republicans outraged that women might be voting and not telling their husband who they're voting for. And this is building into a bigger issue. And it really kind of concerns me for a bigger, more dark reason. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more of what just happened right after this. And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah Show. We're continuing here Friday, November 1st with our friends Leighann Lord, Carmen Lynch, and Jimmy Tingle. So let's talk about misogyny on parade. First, we talked about Donald Trump with the idea, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. He'll be your protector. Then Elon Musk's idea of humor or not humor. I don't even know. I don't want to say humor because it almost seems like I'm giving it context. It's just despicable. He ran a super PAC ad supporting Donald Trump, millions of dollars, where they call Vice President Harris the C word. And it starts by calling Harris a big old C word. It says this contains multiple instances of the C word and tax hiking, revolution loving, gun grabbing. And then you hear the sound of a cat meowing. And then the reveal, the joke C word, it's communist, but it was C word. Right? And that's the idea of Elon Musk and the young men and the men that he wants to appeal to, and even the women. And after a couple of days of a backlash, they just pull the ad, but it got what they wanted, was press. So Leighann, I mean, this misogyny, it doesn't end. Like there's no limit. The idea of calling a female candidate the C word as a joke over and over in a thing where it's not a joke. They're making a bigger message, trying to demean her as much as possible. And one of the speakers at the Trump Madison Square Garden hate rally said Vice President Harris had pimp handlers. So she's a prostitute or a whore. This is part and parcel of the Trump campaign. What do you
Was
think,
there,
Leighann?
I was
There's
about to
no
say, is there a question?
There's no question there. It's me just talking about, like, I can't believe we're going backwards as a society, but we are. We are literally watching
Well,
cultural norms go backwards.
the illusion was that we were going forward.
Hmm.
So who exactly was going forward? Because, as a Black woman who has walked through this world only making 65 cents on her dollar, I can tell you this is not new. The living with this, how men really think, or how you're treated in the workplace. So I'm again in another election watching a woman who is more than qualified run against somebody who is less than qualified. The mediocrity on display that we are expected to go up against. How many women face this? How many women face this in their day to day? How many comedy clubs do I go to and I'm like, that's who y'all put on? For real? So I see it in my personal life. Women see it in their wider work life. And then to see this portrayed on the national stage, it's like we have a serious problem with how women are being treated. And then it filters into the abortion ban. We're losing Roe v. Wade.
Yeah,
People
right.
saying, flippantly talking about, oh, well, maybe we should talk about the 19th Amendment. What do you have to, are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
So this is very, very concerning. But again, not new. I think Van Jones put it beautifully when he said that Kamala Harris has to be flawless and the other dude gets to be lawless.
Do we like Van Jones now? Are we?
Mm.
I'm not sure where we are in that whole Van Jones is our friend or not.
I am pulling the quote and giving it its proper attribution.
No, it's fine. I'm not against. I used to like, as a person, he's a very nice guy. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I used to have him on my show and been on CNN. And there was a time everyone loved him, then everyone turned on him, and then he says some good things here and there. But Leighann, you made such a great point. Something I talked about on my show yesterday. I'm going to write an article about it over the weekend. So Carmen, I'll go to you. That if these Republican men have no problem taking the right of reproductive freedom away, why would they have a problem taking the right to vote away from women? They are forcing women against their will to carry a fetus to term, even if it kills them, knowing it kill them. So why don't, and if people go like, we have the 19th Amendment, I'm like, you're not getting it, because this Supreme Court was the one that's going to have to interpret the 19th Amendment. It doesn't say women have a right to vote. It says you can't discriminate on account of sex. You can do a lot of other things where you're not doing it on the face. Like the 15th Amendment said you couldn't discriminate based on race, and Jim Crow came after that. So are you kidding me? They're going to find out a way to punish women if women come out in the number, continue in the numbers. And on the right, they're going to do this. I mean, they've done it to Black people, brown people. Now women are going to be the enemy within. So, Carmen, I mean, is that too far-fetched? I think Republicans will try to come up with laws in red states, however they craft it. It can't say women, but they can look at women, look at where they might live in certain areas, whatever it might be, to make it harder for the women to vote.
Well, we don't know where this is going to go. It could get a lot worse. And I feel like Trump has made this ability of all these men who believe this. It's like this club now, and there's so many of them, and we're seeing them at rallies, and it's like, what the hell is going on? And I mean, it could get a lot worse. And again, it's back to what Jimmy said, like, it's not about the true values, it's about the shock value, the clicks, the clickbait, what people find funny. That's what's getting on the news, and it's pathetic. It's not what this is about, and we have to be careful.
And if you don't fight it, like, that's why this election is so important. If Trump wins with Project 2025, they will dilute the ability of women to have a voice, which they've already done. In 14 states, on day one of conception, a woman has no right to control her reproductive freedom. Her uterus becomes property of the state. I can't believe where we are as a nation. This is barbarism. It's barbaric. Yeah. So, Jimmy, what do you think? I mean, the idea of this open misogyny, have you seen it on a national level in the presidential campaigns? Trump did a little bit in 2020, but that was so about COVID, so I can't think of anything other than COVID. And 2016 was a lot of racism. But even George W. Bush and his father, I can't remember open anti-woman garbage and this demonization of women. With Hillary, there was some of it. But to me, this is a different level. I don't know why it feels like that.
It is on a different level, but to Leighann's point, it's not new. Hillary Clinton was demonized for 30 years on talk radio and the right wing. And when she said there's a vast right-wing conspiracy, she was correct. There was a vast right-wing conspiracy, and it was on right-wing media talk radio especially. And I remember David Brooks on the PBS NewsHour saying, he was asked, why do people, really go after Hillary on the other side? He goes, she's the smartest one in the bunch, meaning the Democrats. She was the smartest one on the team. And they went after her. So when it got 30 years later, after all this, she went to China and said women's rights are human rights and human rights are women's rights. She did that. There was pushback way back, and it wasn't as blatant about like it is now, but it's been there. Now, as far as the C word is concerned, what they were hiding there is communism. That's another thing that's not new. Socialism, red baiting, demonizing people for using tax dollars to help taxpayers. So if you're using tax dollars to help to finance healthcare, that's socialism. But Leighann, whatever his name was, Elon Musk, received $4.9 billion in tax credits to build up Tesla and SpaceX and his company. So if you're using tax dollars for subsidies for business, that's okay. That's American capitalism, and that's the free market. If you're using it for healthcare or women's rights or schooling or food stamps or whatever that's going to help individuals, that's communism, that's socialism, and that's how they frame it, and it's not new.
And that's all coming from the right, which are fascists, which they are so, it's so funny. I love the right-wing people go on. It's you're endangering Trump's life by calling him a fascist, right? And then they would just play clips of him to those Republicans where he's calling her a fascist and a communist, the same thing. And they're like, well, the way the Democrats say it, it's harsher or something like that. There's no defense. Like they just have to spin and spin and spin. But look, there's something else. There was this ad, and I only know about it because right wing went crazy. Julia Roberts doing the voice for an ad. It's not a Harris campaign ad per se. It's one of these third-party groups, but it's supporting Harris. And the voiceover says, it's Julia Roberts saying, in the one place in America, women still have a right to choose. You can vote any way you want, and no one will ever know. And it's a wink, wink about the husband who's there. And so on the right, they took this as Democrats are telling women to lie to their husbands. The irony is that it was Newt Gingrich and Jesse Waters saying this, and both cheated on their spouses. I'm like, you guys were lying to your wives for years, and now it's like they want women. So Jesse Waters, his show said, if a woman were to lie about who she's voting for, it's like having an affair. I'm like, I can't believe you just said that. He cheated with his producer, then he left his wife with their kids, and that's life. That's between them. But I'm like, if you're going to say this bullshit, you're going to, and then Newt Gingrich today saying it's sick, and Charlie Kirk getting really up. They're trying to destroy the family structure in America. They want women to lie to their husband over their voting. But it really goes, Leighann, the bigger issue, it's agency for women. They don't like that. Women are going to vote. These women know. And I really concerned it's going to spark conversations in the right-wing families where some guys like, who are you voting for? And it leads to an altercation or even violence. I'm really concerned that could lead to that in someone's house now. Because the average person, not a big deal. But some of these, violence against women is a left and right thing. I'm not trying to say it's just on the right. But I'm concerned this could spark something. But so, Leighann, what's your reaction to this?
I think they would have maybe struck a more sincere tone if in their objections they had said this infantilizes women. This makes it seem like women don't know their own minds. They don't have their own agency. Do you know what I mean? Like that would have been, thank you very much. Please vote on Tuesday.
That's very good.
But no, that would have been at least a more nuanced approach than they want women to lie to their husbands. Sir, what? And to not even see the irony right in front of them and what they're doing. It's like y'all continue to miss the point. Who married you? Like come on, y'all. This is like deep level dumb, in my opinion. And thus proving that maybe they did need the ad.
Look, in the big picture, Carmen, I mean, I've been in relationships, not with too many people who are liars. One woman who was a liar because she cheated, but that's a whole different thing. But no one, if someone lied about who they voted for, I don't know what I would say. Like, I don't know if it's a big deal, but I guess if it's the lie, more so. But if I was in a relationship with someone, and I am, and then she said to me, at least I wish she would tell me she's voting for Trump, and she's not. But if she would have said, I'm voting for Harris, and then she goes, I really voted for Trump. Of all the people been like, Trump, what are your values? Who are you? what happened? I don't even know you. That kind of stuff. Very typical cliche stuff from Hallmark movies. Carmen, have you ever been lied to about who you're voting, or you've ever lied to someone about who you're voting for, and you've been in a relationship?
I've lied about things, but this to me just feels like yeah, why can't you just say I changed my mind, or why does it have to be? I mean, my enjoyment from this ad was honestly how angry Newt Gingrich, and
Yeah.
I just
Jesse.
loved that. So I loved the ad for that reason. But yeah, it's like women, we know how to make a choice on our own, and we don't have to even tell people who we're voting for, and we can change our mind. And I don't know, it's just it's crazy that we have to go to up to this point to make this point. I don't know. It's just
Jimmy, have you ever been lied
vote
to?
for Kamala.
Have you ever been lied to about from someone you're in a relationship with about who they voted for? Like what about
Not
you?
in
You
a
ran for office.
relationship.
You were
No,
you
but
you you ran for office. What if the person? Are you married now? You're married.
I'm married, yeah.
What if
But
your wife said, "I voted for you for lieutenant governor," and then she comes back like a week
Oh,
later, and
my
goes, "I actually voted for your
Oh,
opponent."
oh, that
That's
brings it
that's
home.
more because
different.
Jimmy did run for lieutenant governor in Massachusetts.
That,
That
yeah,
would be
that
more
is
personal.
different.
That's
Dean,
different,
I
right?
can't believe you knew that secret about me.
That's your that's a that's
No,
an issue that came up. I'm sorry. You worked out in
I
therapy now.
I haven't been lied to about that, but I can remember growing up, my mother and father were really into ward politics, and I can remember
Ah,
being away, and then my mother goes, "All right, listen, for election day's Tuesday, I'll send you a ballot and tell you who to vote for."
really? The old
Yeah,
day, the
and
Boston machine?
because I
Vote at the
wasn't
machine?
there in the local, and of course I resented it, and I vote the way I did. So I haven't been lied to, but I lied to other people how I voted. But look it's very un-American. It's very un-American, and this is odd coming from the party of patriotism. It's very un-American to tell people how to vote, to tell people how to vote, and expect them to do that. And it's very paternalistic, obviously. And
Yes.
Jesse Waters says it's the same as an affair. It's not the same as an affair. First of all, when you go to a voting booth, you're alone. That's not an affair. Okay, it's you and that ballot. Okay, so there's a
That's
big
it.
difference. Yes.
It's interesting too, the idea of before this ad, women are going to vote the way they're going to vote. And maybe it happens here and there and they mislead. This ad, I love it in a way, like Leighann, like you're saying, for trolling. Did you say it or Carmen said it? Trolling the right in a way. It was more effective part of it because you didn't have to tell women. They
Yeah.
know they can vote for who they want, and men know they can vote for who they want. It's secret. But the idea that now Republican men are demanding in a way that's why I think there's gonna be uncomfortable conversations in people's homes, and that's the only thing that I'm concerned about. So,
I
all right, we
mean,
only
oh.
go ahead. No, please
Come
go
on,
ahead.
these men don't talk to their wives. What are you saying, Tim?
Ah!
That's just, there's no conversation anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
They're
All
too
right,
busy talking to their mistress.
yeah, exactly. It depends where they are. A lot of people might be lying to them. So let's. How do you think election night? Where are you going to be? We'll go around, then we'll have everybody plug what they want to be. Jimmy, are you going to be watching it? Are you going to be performing? What are you doing election night?
I've been invited to a couple of get out the and election night watch parties. I don't know if I can be with a bunch of people and watch it. I might just stay home and watch it. I get too nervous and get too angst, and if my team isn't doing well, I don't want to, So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll either be at home or I'll be at an election night party, but it won't be decided before
Right.
midnight. But we will have an indication of how it's going, I assume. Yeah.
Sure, Leighann, where are you going to be election night? Anything special?
Well, my initial plan was just to go out to dinner with my sweetie, buy a bunch of bourbon, and sip the night away. But I got invited to co-host an election night watch party at Harlem Stages, and so I get to then drink in public.
So that's even better. What about you, Carmen? What are you doing?
It's either going to be a great movie or a horrible movie. I'm just going to have my popcorn, sit with my boyfriend, stay home, and just watch it, see what happens.
It's for me, like there are some people who are like, we're gonna have people over. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna be one of those people. Because like Jimmy, I'm just like, no. And I'm like crunching numbers and reading like the guys like who are the great prognosticators on election night when votes come in. Like I've seen enough.
Steve
like,
Kornacki. Oh, I love that dude.
The other guys on there's other guy
Magic Wall.
the
John
another
King.
guys it's just remarkable what to see. All right, so I'd love to give everyone a chance to plug what you're working on. You're all doing such great stuff. Carmen, let's start with you. Where can people find your work, and what are you working on?
Well, right now, like I said, we started a new podcast. It's me and three Latinos. We're all Spanish speakers, and we sometimes go off in Spanish, but it's mostly English. It's called Thanks for Nothing. And it can be it can be found on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, all that fun stuff. We just dropped our second episode. And I have a special on YouTube called Queef Week, and it did just hit 500,000 views. And I also have a special in Spanish called Carmen Lynch en Español, and it's also on YouTube. And you can find everything at Carmen Comedian.
Check it all out. She's hilarious. My friend Leighann, what about you? Your great stuff.
Oh, thank you so much, Dean. Folks can find me performing around New York City and around the country. We are back on tour with Funny Women of a Certain Age. So those tour dates are on my website, which is veryfunnylady.com. I don't know how long I will keep Kamala Connects going. Just these short little bits that I do. I say the things that I think Kamala can't say, but really wants to. You can see those on Instagram and TikTok, which has not been shut down yet. But yeah, so all things me is veryfunnylady.com. Come check it out.
And Jimmy, what about you in the documentary? Tell us a little, like we have like a minute.
Yeah, it's playing on my website. It's free. It's on YouTube, but you click to it through my website, jimmytingle.com. And I'm going to just remain active. Whatever happens, I think we're going to be in for a long haul before we know exactly what the final outcome is. I'm going to try to stay positive. I'm going to try to do the best I can, the way I can do it, and if that's activism, if it's comedy, and I'm going to try my hardest to not get bitter about what happens if it doesn't go my way. It maybe propel me more into politics in a more serious,
nice.
to make change and to do what I can do, because that's just what I can do.
It's a good
I
way of putting it.
admire that. I'm pre-bitter.
You're pre-bitter? Look,
I'll take on your bitter.
we want that. Harris has got to win, and if she doesn't, I can Zoom from Canada, right? I mean, actually, New Jersey. I'll Zoom because no one's coming to Jersey. I'll be safe in Jersey. You can all visit me in Jersey, in Bayonne or Moonachie, one of the places no one's ever coming to. I want to thank all three of you for being here the last Friday before Election Day. We're all rooting for the best to happen. Thanks so much, guys. We're gonna take a break and come back with more of this show.